What's up, guys? It's me, LSP Spectrar here, in another video in Wayward Terran Frontier. This time we're going to be talking about things to kind of keep in mind while you're fighting, but mostly what you kind of need to protect on your ship. So that way, while you're fighting and flying around, you kind of know which side of your ship to aim towards the enemy and maybe which ones not to. So we're going to kind of start off in this starter ship that you kind of get at the very beginning of the game. So things to keep in mind are your heat sinks, your reactors, and your weapons, and your cockpit. Got a couple ands in there, but that's okay. Doesn't need to be perfect English. So, first off, your cockpit. You need to know where your cockpit is in relation to your ship. Why? Because no matter what, the enemy is always, the AI is programmed to always try to attack you as a person. So if you're over in this side of the ship, then you will be attacked over here, and they'll try to shoot along this edge, try to get you, depending on where they are in relation to the ship. So, if you are in your cockpit, specifically in this ship, I'm currently still docked to the station, that's okay, they'll always try to attack this area of you. So if you go back in, you'll notice that this is fairly exposed, and that's why if you've watched any of my build videos, you'll see that I always try to keep the cockpit towards the center of the ship. And that's why, because you're most protected in that area. So keep in mind that exposing this area of your ship you're most likely going to die fairly fast. So, if you start to see damage right here, you need to hurry and hop out. You're out here, you need to hop out of this and repair as much of this as you can while in the middle of the battle. Second, we need to talk about heat sinks. So on this ship, all of our heat sinks are on our left side. Now, if these are destroyed, your reactors are going to cut out in the middle of the battle because they've overheated, and after the overheat is done and they've cooled down, then they'll restart giving you power, but almost instantly they'll fail and crash again. So keeping these alive is very important. Unfortunately, in this ship, this entire left side is just full of it. So you need to protect this as much as you can. So if you notice your reactors are dying and you've disabled the ship and you have enough time to come over, try to repair as many of these as you can. And it'll make your life a lot easier. So if it seems like your ship is cutting in and out, that's what's happened. Your reactors are most likely or your heat sinks are most likely destroyed. Next, we need to talk about reactors. The reason you need to protect reactors, one obvious reason, you need them to power your ship. Second reason is they explode. So if you've been flying around and you notice your ship exploded, that's why. These things will explode and create a giant hole in your ship and render your ship almost useless. So protect those with your life. So essentially, if you're fighting from the front, while you don't want your guns to get destroyed, it is better to sacrifice this side of your ship rather than this side of your ship, because you've got heat sinks and reactors up here and they will explode. Next, I guess not second, we got capacitors. These little things right here, they hold power for you. So while reactors explode, capacitors set fires, which are almost worse than explosions in a way. So it'll set a fire going, and you'll see black smoke start coming out of your ship while you're fighting. So you'll be over here, and all of a sudden you'll see black smoke coming out of here or wherever they are. Now, in-game, you have what's called a fire extinguisher. You'll use that to put it out. But if you don't put it out, it'll slowly start spreading everywhere. And if it gets out of control, it can be a really hard thing to stop. And especially in this ship, if it starts spreading down, you'll be able to do nothing to fix your engines. And it'll just consume your ship. So kind of keep in mind where those are. It's less of a deal because when it happens, you'll obviously be notified by the giant black smoke that's coming out of your ship. But still very important to keep in mind where they are, so you can kind of try to avoid them. Next, obviously, you need to keep in mind your engines. Try to keep them alive as much as possible. If you're taking too much in the front, I can understand spinning around and letting them hit your back a little bit, but try to keep your engines alive. And one of the kind of least important, but still somewhat important, are your thrusters that allow you to move side to side. So you got one up here, and you got a bunch in the back. It is kind of important to keep those in mind, although not nearly as important as everything else. Note that if your cargo areas are destroyed, you will drop all your cargo. So if you've ever seen that happen to you and all your cargo just suddenly drops out, that is why this has been destroyed. and obviously you want to keep your weapons alive. So I know it seems like a lot to keep alive, but I kind of wanted to go over some key points. But I would honestly say the most important things to make sure you know are where they are on your ship are your heat sinks, reactors, and cockpit. If you remember nothing else on where your ship is, remember where your cockpit is, your heat sinks, and your reactors, and try to steer them away. So in this ship, if I was fighting, I would try to do a mix of trying to get them to shoot along here and along here. Obviously not so much on this side because I got my cockpit right here. Here, let me move into a place where you can kind of see the ship a little bit better. There you go. So while shooting on this side is not going to be very good because they're going to be aiming right here, if I can keep them shooting right here and kind of keep the enemy right here, they're not going to be shooting over here too much, and they're mostly going to dig through the tip of my ship and through the weapons. So for the most part, I'm going to do that, and then if I need a break, I will flip around, keeping in mind that they are towards the front of me, and I'm going to kind of go like that, if not a little bit like that. Now, if I need them to shoot on this side, on my left side, I'm going to try to get them to shoot up here because, again, if you look at our ship, while yes, there are heat sinks up here and there are reactors back here, up here, these reactors feed mostly the weapons. So I can afford to lose them if I need to, and I've got more heat sinks down here connected to the entire network to help keep everything cool. So I can afford to lose those if I absolutely have to, and it would be sad, but I can afford to let one of those be destroyed. I don't want to, but I can afford it. So I would want them to hit this side rather than this side. I don't know if this was helpful for you, but I figured it might be useful to know kind of what to keep in mind while you're fighting and what ships are most vital while you're fighting. Oftentimes I'll forget to even look at that, and then I get in a battle and I instantly regret it. Just because I don't know which way to turn, and I don't want to sit there and take the time during battle to hop out of my ship, wander around, and look for stuff. Especially if it's a ship I'm not entirely used to yet, or I don't use a ton. So hopefully those little tips help you and keep you safe out there while you are raiding and creating mayhem in the universe. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos like this, click on the symbol in the top left, and if you want to see other videos of mine, click on the one in the top right. Other than that, I will see you guys next time. See ya!